guys, and welcome back to the channel. This is TheSketchMonkey here. I'm back at ClearShift to have a look at this. This is the Silverado ZR2, which they refreshed in 2022. So what I want to do in this video, talk about the design, obviously, the front, side, rear, and then we're going to have a look at the beautiful interior before we take it for a drive. Because this facelift, or this new generation of the Silverado, they didn't make a lot of changes in the front end, but the changes that they made are super impactful in my opinion. We're going to talk about the details in just a minute. Not to talk about the interior, which looks fantastic right now. The previous one looked like it came from 1996, so I'm really glad that they updated that for 2022. Thanks to ClearShift just outside of Denver for providing this truck for me to review for you guys today. If you want to have a look at this truck and their entire inventory, just head to clearshift.com or click the link down in the description. Now, under the hood of this beautiful blue beast, we have a 6.2 liter V8 with 420 horsepower and 470 pound-feet of torque. Not bad for this size of truck. And looking at the front end design here, I love the ZR2 package because it blacks everything out, going across the entire grille in this gloss black. And look at the Chevy logo in the middle here. It's all open, so you have more airflow going in through the logo itself. We do have a little bit of chrome stretching around this logo in the front end, something that I would probably want to change. Have that just be black like the rest of the truck, because I think that's pretty much the only chrome that we have in the entire front end, so why not make it black? Couple of design details with the ZR2. We have the red tow hooks going starting from the bottom here with the metal skid plate that's in silver, going up to the gloss black bumper. What I love about this bumper on the ZR2 specifically is that it's carved out here. So from this angle, which you're looking at right now, you can see a lot of the front tire, and this means that you have a decent approach angle when you decide to take this off-road, which is what it was built for. Going up further up, we have a fully open grille here. So all these holes that you see in the grille, they're all open, and you can actually see the radiator in there looking very nice. These lights, I'm not sure what they are for because this is not wider than 80 inches. They don't need to have any amber position markers on the truck, but they just decided to have this little line here continue and end with a little LED. Small little touches like that I appreciate. However, the big change in the front end that I thought when I saw the previous generation Silverado, they need to update this and make a stronger identity for the Silverado, and that is this big LED, thick, juicy LED piece right here. In the previous one, it was just a tiny strip that follows the outline of this piece, but now it grew a lot bigger, and that also has some dynamic feeling to it because it's thicker in this part, and then it becomes thinner as we go underneath the beautiful headlights, and same kind of inverted C shape that we have in the bottom as well. Then we have some cool Lamborghini style graphics in this part with this Y shape. They decided to just make this a stylized piece, I guess, instead of just having it be a flat black boring surface. Now on trucks like this, Chevy does this really well. They have a strong starting point in a single line going like this. There's no indents in the hood or anything crazy like that we have in GMCs, and I like that. I think it creates a very clean look and also have a nice, as I said, starting point from where the hood ends, and then the rest of the graphics starts underneath. Coming around to the side view of the Silverado ZR2, I love, first of all, let's talk about this color. Beautiful color. This is the color that I would definitely go with if I was buying this truck. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. What I like about the styling here in the side view, have a look at this line. Typical Silverado line continuing from the very corner of the headlight, then across the front fender and dips beautifully into this body surface, this blue ocean that we have here. The wheels and tires, unfortunately, Chevy, for some reason, decided to not go with 35-inch tires, which is something that I personally would switch these out for the moment I got this truck, because I think the tires, they feel a little small in comparison to the rest of the proportions of the truck. I'm not sure if you agree with me on that, but I think having 35s on here, I think it would just add some more beefiness to this design and work better with the overall proportions, and also, of course, plant the truck in a nicer way by having this stick out just a little further and be flat and be flush with the bodywork. I love that we have the ZR2 badge here. Yes, we do have some chrome around it. We also have some chrome on the 6.2 liter graphics up here on the hood with the black part. I love that in contrast with the blue up top. I want to talk more about this shoulder line because have a look at this. As we said, it dips right here, and then you wonder, where does it come back? It comes back right behind the side mirror, and then it goes from very weak looking here into a super crisp, sharp shoulder line that continues all the way to the taillight. I think this line, it adds some length to this design in addition to this lower part line that we have here that carves out some of this volume of this big vehicle. And down here we have a proper metal side step that looks very sturdy and very beefy as well. Now, as a designer myself, I like to analyze line flow and surfacing in cars. And I think the surfacing and line flow in the side of the Silverado is just gorgeous. See the lower part that we just talked about in the side, it then continues and comes back in this very subtle line down here. And look at the sculpting of this rear fender coming out a little bit, creating some width to this design and planting it, looking at it from a rear view, which we're gonna do right now. All right, so coming around to the rear end of the Silverado, the front end, fantastic update by Chevy. The side beautiful as well. Interior magnificent refresh from the 2020 model year. But in the rear, this is where it gets a little tricky for me. I'm not a huge fan of the graphic layouts of the entire rear end for one simple reason. All the graphics that you see here, it adds and builds like a cake on top of each other and builds a lot of unnecessary visual height in the rear end. And it feels like the mass of the rear end, the heaviest piece, sits up here, which makes it feel a little unbalanced in my opinion. It is a beautiful looking rear end. I mean, it's not bad. And I do like that we have the blacked out Chevy logo here with the two cameras in the back and this super complex tailgate with a bunch of cut lines in it, so you can add a step to it. You can make a small little staircase for yourself climbing into this. But overall, I think the rear end of this new Silverado, they didn't change anything from what I've seen from the 2020. And I still think it does need a little bit of work in the rear to make it less top heavy like we have right here. Now, I'm sure a lot of you don't really understand, have a clue what the heck I'm talking about. So I'm gonna try and explain it here, why it feels like it just builds up height. Because we have this line right here, a horizontal line stretching across the entire width of the truck. Then we have another line up here, and it now also builds more volume into this thing. And we have this top part line. So we have several layers of horizontal lines just building up this volume in the rear end. It is a very functional rear end because you can open this, as I said, in many different ways. And you also have steps integrated in the bumper to climb up the bed a much easier way than just jumping across the side. Welcome to the interior of the brand new Chevy Silverado ZR2. And the biggest change you're gonna notice when you jump in here is you feel like you're actually sitting in a truck from 2023, and that is thanks to this 13.4-inch infotainment screen right here. Beautifully integrated in the dash. Chevy these days are integrating their screens better than, for example, BMW. And then you have the 12.3-inch gauge cluster, also beautifully integrated with the nice housing, with the head-up display up front. Very clean design integrations and material in here. I'm really shocked to see just the difference from the 2020 model stepping into a brand new Silverado like this. Is just night and day. Then you have all the physical buttons you want here for all the automatic engine start-stop. You have the parking assist, the lane assist, which I also turn off, traction control, hill descent, and locking front and rear differential. And down here you have all the controls for the climate controls as well. Big, nice physical dial for both the passenger and the driver with two USB ports, one regular USB and one USB-C underneath it. And up top next to the screen itself, we have some very nice, sturdy, easy to adjust vents, which I also appreciate. Up top, there is like a bit of a storage compartment right behind the screens for smaller things, maybe pens and stuff like that, markers if you decide to pick up a marker and sketch down a car. We all know we all have that urge at some point. And then in the center console, we have this big sturdy gear selector right here and some more storage in the middle with two cup holders. And the wireless charging is located right here underneath the armrest. And the armrest itself opens up like this. Down here you have more USB ports, a 12-volt house outlet, and you can remove this little thing to just pop this out. And if you want to clean it, easier to clean. There's also a little lamp back here to see all the markers that you're going to be putting in this truck. One detail in this interior that I kind of want to change is probably the gloss black that we have going around the gauge cluster and the infotainment screen. it's gonna get dirty, and this is one thing that you're gonna touch all the time. It's gonna have a lot of fingerprints on it, but that's what you get with modern screens. On the left side of the steering wheel, we have the 4 high, 4 low, 2-wheel drive and auto settings, and the settings for the lighting. And down here we have, look at this, a proper glove box. The doors look beautiful as well. I do like the blue outside exterior color with the yellow stitching. It kind of makes me a little sentimental for my home country, Sweden, with these colors in here. Looks very nice, and the seats as well feels like they are a bit rubberized, so very easy to just clean off should you go mudding and get mud splatters all over your seats. And up top, we do have a pretty normal sized sunroof right here, which I'm gonna close. And would you have a look at this? Every single new American truck these days is equipped with this reverse backup camera that is always on, which I'm very jealous of in my Ram Rebel. Looking at the steering wheel, it feels maybe a little dated, this design, but the materials in here they feel fine. There's nothing special about this steering wheel. I would love to see this yellow stitching that we have going on the seats, the armrest in the middle, the dash. Why didn't they put the yellow stitching inside of the steering wheel as well, just to have it be the same kind of style? We do have some pedals for it, but I would probably drive this in automatic 99.9% of the time. With that said, let's jump into the back seat and see what's going on back there when it comes to leg and headroom. Hop it in to the back seat of the Silverado, and just like with any 1500 truck, tons of leg room in here, tons of headroom. You just have a ton of space back here with your little personal pocket in the front seats, and you also have some very small vents back here. These are like miniature vents. They look kind of cute back here, and you have heated seats for the back seats as well, in addition to USB-C and USB ports. We've talked about the exterior design, we've had some fun in the interior, but now let's talk about the engine, the 6.2 liter V8 up front. Let's fire it up and let's hear what this sounds like. Alrighty guys, setting off in the brand new Silverado ZR2 with a 6.2 liter V8, 420 horsepower, 470 pound-feet of torque, connected to a 10-speed automatic transmission. Feels super smooth, wouldn't expect anything else. It actually sits 2 inches higher than a regular Silverado thanks to this off-road suspension that we have on the ZR2. The approach angle, as I talked about with those carved out front bumpers, it actually gives it an approach angle of 31.8 inches, which is not bad at all. What about the power? 420 horsepower in this Silverado. Feels pretty decent, specifically when you step on it, obviously. I would want to have a different engine noise though. It feels very damped, so exhaust is something, definitely something I would add to this truck to bring out the noise of that 6.2 liter V8. Honestly, I'm really surprised by this, I mean in a good way, this refresh of the Silverado. Fantastic job by Chevy to put together this, going from the previous iteration of this interior. This just feels, everything feels so much nicer and brings it back by 20 years just adding these changes to this design. The 10-speed automatic also, of course, super smooth. I've driven I've driven a couple of cars now with this 10-speed auto. Always super nice and clean shifts, nothing to complain about there. Turning radius, decent, is what you expect. It's a 1500 truck, so it's not the best, but it will still get you around a tight corner. So let's step on it here and let's see what this got. I guess it sounds all right, but I will still add an exhaust to this thing. So how much are these right now? You can find them, if you want them slightly used, for around 60 grand. New, I think they go for around $65,000, which seems like a lot, I would say, for this type of truck. But that's the truck prices today. I think it has to do with cramming in so much tech into the trucks. All the camera, I'm not sure how many cameras we have in this truck, but you have all the angles, so you got to have at least 10 cameras or something. That's going to bring the truck prices up. What I would like to see are manufacturers really stripping down these type of trucks. Add the suspension on it the off-road suspension they have in ZR2, but remove all this tech, because I think there is a market for people who don't necessarily want or need all the tech that comes with these expensive trucks today. Smooth steering as well. It feels pretty light, this steering, which I don't mind, but I would like to have it maybe a little heavier than this. Huge thanks again to my friends here at ClearShift in Denver for letting me review this beautiful blue and yellow ZR2 today. The Swedish colors, my home country, which makes me like this truck even more. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you, and I'll see you in the next video.